New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
What Would Louise Say? Join us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Hosted by Reverend Martine Bernard. Explore the wisdom of Louise Hay. Brought to you by New Thought Media Network. Dive into Louise's teachings. Experience healing and empowerment. Reverend Martine shares insights. Connect with a contemporary audience. Unlock your potential. Transform your life with love. Embrace positivity and healing. Join our vibrant community. Ready to join us? Let's spread love and wisdom together. Please like, share, and subscribe. Only on New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Riick Nichols, and I will be guest hosting this episode of What Would Louise Say, while Reverend Martine is out doing other very important things. And we have a wonderful plan for you today. Two guests from India. One is a Heal Your Life trainer in Ludhiana, India, and also her son, who's a Heal Your Life teacher. It happens to be in Kuwait right now. And bless his heart, he's agreed to join us even with all of that chaos going on around him. So we've got a great plan for you here today. Stay with us all the way to the end, and we will not let you down, I can promise you. What we'll be talking about today is, on the name of the program, What Would Louise Say? And if I were to ask Louise, what would you have to say about the chaos going on in the world right now? All of the fear and the anger and the fighting and so forth. And here's what Louise would say. In the infinity of life where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete. Deep at the center of my being, there is an infinite well of love. Enough love to heal the whole world. But for today, what we'll do is we'll use that love to begin to heal ourselves, to protect us from any fears or worries that we may have going on. All is well in my world. That is, I'm certain, what Louise would say if asked that question. She was a very practical woman, you know. Louise believed that love was the most practical thing imaginable, and she shared it that way. So some people seem to think that she was kind of woo-woo, but that's not true. She was a very practical woman, but knew how to take that practical issues and bring them directly to the world in a way people can understand through mostly her very understandable book, You Can Heal Your Life. So we can welcome Babbu Gill, and her son, Donny Gill. Hello, welcome.
Namaste. Thank you, Riick.
Namaste. You may or may not have noticed that I put a little tag on the end of Babbu's name of J.I., Babbuji. Now, she didn't claim that all of her own accord, but her students, as she worked with them over the years, assigned that to her, which in India is a very high respect for a person. Some would say Babbuji Ma, which is extremely high and actually claims that she is indeed a teacher of love, a spiritual teacher. So I'm looking out my window here. There's a coyote walking up the road. Excuse me. The world is full of distractions. They don't only come from the internet, they come from virtually everywhere. So he came down. There's another one. I wish you could see this. I have a bird bath down there. It's on a tree stump. And it's right out my window here, so I see what's going on. And this pair of coyotes came up and get a drink out of my bird bath. I see all kinds of activity out there, and it's much better distraction than the internet, I can promise you. I saw a deer down there one day drinking from that. Let's see, back to Louise, away from the wildlife. So we welcome these beautiful people. And like I say, Louise was practical. And so am I, and so are many people in the world. And we'll be examining the idea of this well of love that Louise talked about, and where it comes from, what it has to offer us, and how we can take that well of love and dip from it, put in our little cups, and share them to people all around us, which is exactly what Babbuji and Donny is doing in their own parts of the world. And Lord knows it needs it. There's a poem I want to quote a little piece of before we get started. Here it comes from Antonio Machado, who's a Spanish poet, and he has a delightful poem. And this is one of the verses of it. It says, "Last night as I was sleeping, I dreamt divine illusion. Last night as I was sleeping, I dreamt divine illusion that there was a spring breaking forth from my heart. A spring breaking forth from my heart. And I said, upon what sacred aqueduct are you coming to me, O water, water of a new life that I have never tasted?" And that's what we'll be talking about. Louise's idea of an infinite well of love, and Machado's idea of the spring breaking forth from my heart. And his poem gives us a hint as to where that spring comes from, upon what sacred waters it flows into the world. And as Louise would say, in a most practical kind of a way. Okay, now I'm going to turn to Babbu and Donny. And my question for you would be, first of all, would be, what brought you to this work? What first attracted you to the Heal Your Life work? And I guess we'll go with the senior member of our guest pair here, and Babbu Gill. So, Babbu.
Yeah. So thank you for asking. And yes, what brought me to Louise's work is I actually was gifted the Heal Your Body book by an officer in way back in the late 80s. And he was a foreign officer who had come for some training. And it was an old book that he handed over to me. And he happened to know my husband. And life wasn't as smooth as one would say it was. And I wasn't in my best form then. I began reading Louise's book. Yes, reading, because I really didn't quite understand what I read at that point of time.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the first time I actually got to know about Louise and what she talks about. And after that, there's been no looking back. Over the years, I kept reading, beginning to understand, and off and on it lay on the shelf. And yes, life took over. Yes, actually took over. And I was diagnosed for abnormal cells of cancer. And I went to an expo. It was called the Life Positive Expo at New Delhi, because I was searching and looking for various ways. And I did, of course, I knew Louise's. And there I met someone at a stall. There was a Heal Your Life stall there someone had put. And it had all Louise's beautiful books. And when I reached the stall, I wanted to know more about Louise, and she was talking about Louise. And this person was a Healer Life teacher, Shalini, and she spoke to me about Louise, and I said that I'm really fascinated and I want to go further in this. And then she told me there are trainings, but they don't happen in India. And that's where my journey began. I searched, and there was Sampurna, again, another wonderful friend and teacher. She was also there at the expo. And I met these two ladies then, and I'm grateful to them. I could get to know that there was something called the Heal Your Life trainings that were making a difference. And I went in for a 2-day workshop. It began with the 2-day workshop. And yes, that completely altered my life. And that's where my journey began.
That is true with so many people that have discovered Louise's work. The book typically will come to them early on, and then they'll lay it aside thinking, I don't have any use. This doesn't make any sense to me. And then at a point in their life when they feel they need something, and they may have even prayed to God and to churches and everything, and that has its own way of support. But sometimes we need something more practical, as I said, that Louise is. And they go back to that book. And that's when they get serious. They don't just read it, as you know, Babbuji. They absorb it. They ingest that information and they begin to live it. And if one was to do that, it is a lifesaver. There's no guarantee it will save your life from some devastating disease. But what it will do is, as the title of the book says, heal your life. It will make you more comfortable and accepting of your life as it is at the moment. And from that place of acceptance, you can move to the big word, the big F word, forgiveness. And then you forgive the universe and God and everybody else that calls you some silly name. And when that happens, the magic happens. Then you become satisfied. You become content with your life. I believe that content outweighs happiness by a long, long way, because content is just that. I'm okay right here, just fine, thank you. Is that right, Babbuji?
Absolutely, Riick. Louise, I always say, Louise gifted life back to me. Mm-hmm. And that resonates with what you've said, because after I participated in the workshop, I began to study and I began to live what she says, actually practice, because I am so clear that this is not really work. It's a practice. It's a way of life. It is living every moment. And that is beautiful and miraculous.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I just want to say, I get so, my heart just expands and swells with gratitude for where I am sitting today. I know if I had not actually practiced what she suggested, things would have not been the way they are today. Mm-hmm. And forgiveness, yes. I actually saw that forgiveness is not such a big word, yes. It's a continuous process, but it all began with me. It was never about anybody else. I saw really where forgiveness was for all that I was doing, saying, and thinking, and all the stories that I had put together. And when that began to unfold, and the light began to shine in all those dark spaces that I had allowed within myself, life.
Well, to go back to elaborate on that, once you understand the energy, if you will, of forgiveness, it's not a thing you do. It's an energy that happens to you. And it begins with acceptance. And as you indicated, Babbuji, forgiveness just happens naturally. When you reach that point, it is a kind of a metamorphosis, like a caterpillar and a butterfly, where once you've got to a certain place in your practice, forgiveness simply happens accidentally. It shows up and you quit fighting it. And that's a brilliant offering, Babbuji. Thank you for that. Let's turn to Donny, your son. Donny, how did you, I know how you came by this work, but could you share it with our audience, please?
Hi, Riick. And hi, Mom.
Donny. Welcome. Thank you for taking time out from your busy
my
life.
pleasure. Thank you so much. And I think it's an honor first of all, to be here, and thank you for everybody who's watching live as well. I am Donny. Professionally, I'm a ship captain. I sailed all around the world on oil tankers all my career, left home at the age of 17, presently based out of Kuwait, and doing all these things, worked in oil and gas sector. And like Riick, you started amongst all this chaos and unsurety of where things are going, how life is panning out, people stuck here in Kuwait couldn't travel. This work, sort of came home with me yet again. And to me, I started looking back. I got introduced to this work, I think, in about 2012 or 2013 through my dear mom. And she's been an inspiration. She's always been working on herself. She never stopped learning, and I learned that from her. That you never know enough in life. Actually, you don't. When you actually look at how much you know, you don't know nothing. And if you can humble yourself with that, I would say that probably you've arrived and you're open to receiving. And that's what I learned when I grew up as a child from my home, my parents, my mom, my dad, that never stop learning and always be receiving. And so 2012 I got introduced. 2018 I got trained with your dear wife Patricia, and whom I dearly adore as well, in Birmingham. And that was the start for me, because attending that training, I had done a few 2-day workshops with mom, under mom, assisted her, and many other things. And I was in the process of learning or process of unlearning, because when you grow up in life, you learn so much. Especially when you go out at sea at the age of 17, everything is, you do this, you get that. You do this, you get that. You don't do this, you don't get that. And everything is so conditioned, you learn the hard way. So I had to unlearn the hard way of learnings to be just open to receiving, being in the now. And that's what I learned from this work. Louise taught me, and you guys touched on forgiveness. And that is such a big point, and Louise's, I think it was coming to my mind when you were saying, and you touched on it, it's like forgiveness is actually for myself. And it lets me out of the prison which I put myself in. And it's like it's a sense of freeing yourself when you learn what forgiveness truly means. So yeah, it was 2018, the workshop training, and then I did with you and Patricia my coach training in Singapore after about 3 years down the line. Thereafter, I've just been in Kuwait, practicing, attending mom's training sessions. She leads workshops, and that's been such a beautiful, humbling experience, meeting such lovely souls, and you realize the power we have within us, which we never tap in. And how beautifully Louise's work brings out those things in people when they take control of their lives. That's what's driving me in this work. That's the passion that creates.
Yeah, it's almost seemingly magical. The interesting thing about learning is when you reach a point of learning, you start shifting to a place of knowing, which is another whole level of being. Because learning has got its value. We need to learn things, of course. But when you reach a certain level, it becomes knowing, or it can become wisdom. I define wisdom as knowledge. You gain knowledge, you learn. With experience, you experience that knowledge by living it, by being it, by doing it, by absorbing it, distilled through the heart over time. So you take this learning experience, or this learning, this education, and experience what you've learned in your daily life, and then through time that will distill through the heart. And what happens in that distillation process, you see, is it distills out the impurities That's a really important distinction between knowledge and wisdom. Wisdom has lost all the impurities. There's no judgments, there's no blame, there's no guilt, there's none of that. And it takes it all out of there. And then you wind up, which drips out of the end of this little tube from the still, is pure spirit. That if you were to ask Jalaluddin Rumi what that means, he would say you'll get drunk on it. So take me to that tavern and make me drunk. And that's what happens to it, because you're getting that pure spirit out of that. And it's an interesting thing to me. I love you, Donny. You know that. You're just as precious to me as my own family. But to take this kind of work out into, a manly kind of a world, like the marine shipping world, that you could be easily afraid they might throw tomatoes at you or something. Start talking about love and all of that. How does that work for you?
Thank you for asking that. It's, as men, and especially in this line of work, there is, I call it, rules, and which are actually rules, bullshit rules, which we buy. And, we start living by those rules. You got to be tough. Only tough survives. Men don't shed tears. Men don't cry. If you cry, you're weak. You'll be taken for granted. And I learned from this work that you actually tend to connect with people when you learn to drop your barriers, when you learn to be vulnerable, when you learn to show your emotion. We are emotional beings. And, you can only connect when you learn to feel. And you will not feel unless you get in touch with your softer part, your heart. Mm-hmm. Your heart is what makes you feel. And your mind is what makes you control and gives you a plan. And I learned this from Louise, that life is happening. Mm-hmm. Don't try and control it. The harder you control life, the more it falls away from you.
Well, it eats you up.
And it eats you up, absolutely. And there is peace in knowing that everything will work out. Mm-hmm. There is always a bigger divine plan that is running. And whether you put it in your professional life, whether you put it in your private life, we tend to control, we tend to, plan. And it's good to plan. But we tend to get so involved in that plan that we forget ourselves. We forget that life is happening around. And if we learn to just step back in the moment and say, okay, this is my plan. Universe, take care of it. And I know you will. I've had so many experiences, and then we call these miracles.
Yeah, I can easily imagine. I can easily imagine big, burly, hairy-knuckled men that are crew members on these ships at sea, being kept away from their families and homes for months at a time, I suppose, in the dark in their bunks at night, just sobbing of loneliness and needing to be home and amongst the support of their family. But they would only do that in the privacy of their own area of the ship. I can easily imagine that. I can easily imagine big burly men and women without the hairy knuckles in prisons, feeling miserable for crimes they may have committed and what have you, and beating themselves over the head about it, and sobbing, in their cells at night. But when they can allow that to come out, spring breaking forth from my heart, when they let it come out to share with others, that support will come to them. And that is what you and your beloved mother are doing in northern India there. And I'm so busted proud of both of you for what you're doing. And your mom dug into that well of love that Louise talked about in such a big way that she brought water to the entire family. That whole family will heal your life. Family, including Iqbal, her husband. Do I say that name right, Babbu? Iqbal?
Yes, yes, Riick,
Okay.
absolutely.
It doesn't roll off my tongue. It's an Afghan name, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So thank you for that. And I want to digress for just a moment, go back to the coyotes drinking from my bird bath, which is this particular bird bath is low to the ground. It's on a tree stump, so the coyotes can get to it easy. And it happens that they showed up. I don't see them very often. Just as we began this conversation about drinking from the well of love.
Wow.
I mean, things happen for a reason.
Yes.
And to me, that was a thumbs up from from the nature world that you're doing the right thing here, to not just myself, but to each of you, and to Reverend Michael on the other end of the controls here. That was nature saying, "You guys got it right on." So I'm proud of you. And Babbuji, as I say, you dipped from that well in a big way. To you brought that cups of that water home, and not shared it not only with your family but a large part of your community. Can you explain to us or share with us a aha moment or a moment of realization that you've seen from students you're teaching? I think those are the greatest reward in doing this work. We need to make money and we need to do all of that, but the greatest reward is when you look at somebody and they go, "Oh my God, I think I got it," and they'll tear up.
Yes.
I think I got it finally. Can you explain or share with us any experiences you've had like that?
Yes, Riick. Once again, I continue to say that heartfelt, deep gratitude for being here and for being in this work of love, and for both you and Riick and Patricia for allowing me and showing me the way. I always say that because I did have Louise's book. All of us have that. But the both of you have been the guiding light. And how beautifully you have guided each and every one of us, especially, I would say, for myself. And the question that you asked me, there have been, I think, over 100 workshops, maybe. I don't count. I've lost count. That, have happened with me as a facilitator. And, and each time I eat humble pie, because when I see that so much unfolding before my eyes, I have seen big, burly Sikh men who nobody would ever think would, ever bat an eyelid or melt. I have seen them sobbing and crying and, hugging me or hugging one another. And that is the moment when it's so beautiful. It's as if I would say that there is this higher intelligence that just walks in it. The space is so divine. And people ask me, how long does it take for transformation? I always say, this long. It takes this long. So it's always, I can see that before my eyes all the time, Riick, be it children, teenagers. There are 18-year-olds to 70 to 80-year-olds that participate. All these ages come, and there is not a single person who goes back without saying that we are so blessed.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the greatest reward.
Yeah, when you think about in your culture, in that part of the world, people are searching for transformation. How long will it take me to get to transformation? As though you can count it off in calendar days or something. And your answer is perfect. That long?
Yes.
It's already done. It's already done. You only need to accept that it is done, and it shall be done. As Louise says, we create our own life experience. So let's just sit with that for a moment while we take a little break, and we'll be back in a minute or so to continue this fascinating conversation on love and joy and peace from India and in a war zone and Kuwait, for crying out loud, and here in my beautiful mountaintop. So let's take a pause and we'll be back real soon. Thank you.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you. Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Unity of Garden Park, New Thought Philadelphia, the Sunshine Cathedral, Unity of Savannah, and the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.
Now you can become an internationally certified workshop leader and life coach in Louise Hay's philosophy. This training was personally created and approved by Louise and is authorized by Hay House. It will change your life and enable you to help others transform theirs. You will join a worldwide community of thousands of workshop leaders and life coaches, all dedicated to offering Louise's work to change hearts and minds. Go to healyourlifetraining.com for all the information.
What Would Louise Say? Join us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Hosted by Reverend Martine Bernard. Explore the wisdom of Louise Hay. Brought to you by New Thought Media Network. Dive into Louise's teachings. Experience healing and empowerment. Reverend Martine shares insights. Connect with a contemporary audience. Unlock your potential. Transform your life with love. Embrace positivity and healing. Join our vibrant community. Ready to join us? Let's spread love and wisdom together. Please like, share, and subscribe. Only on New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
And that is exactly what we're doing here, sharing love and positivity. Just when you think that there isn't enough love in the world, we get stuck on these doom scrolls and stuff and see an awful lot of stuff, we begin to forget what wonder there is being sent to the world from many, many different quarters. There's a lot more going on in this world than arguments over oil and land and whatever. And like during this pause we were just on, we were offered an opportunity to see how widely spread that love is, how widely spread that teaching is from different entities around. Most of them are in the US, but by expansion all over the world. And it's just that the media, the broadcast media, except this one, of course, doesn't focus on it because they want to scare us. So they can keep us scared, then we keep coming back to them for a solution to that fear, which they never offer. They only offer more fear and worry and the stuff that they sell. Well, we're here selling love And that's what matters most to us. Okay. Thank you for your coming back. And it's good to have you here. You guys are both Indians, if you will, not American Indians, obviously, but India Indians. Uh, so I want to ask a question: how is Louise's work accepted and received in the culture of India? And I've been there, and I'll tell you what, I know that is a unique in the world culture. There ain't nothing else like it nowhere. And the moment I stepped off a plane in India and walked out into that airport and in the air out there, I was like almost paralyzed. I mean, there is a cacophony of aromas and of noises and of busyness going on everywhere, and I'm going protect myself. Fortunately, we had one of our trainers to meet us at the airport and guide us through that. And since I had that experience, I love the place. It is alive. India is so alive and so incredibly richly spiritual. I think you guys have more spiritual holidays than anywhere else in the world, don't you? There's always something going on. And yes. I find the culture quite fascinating. But if either or both of you could offer your thoughts on how this kind of work, Louise's work specifically, is received in the Indian culture.
So I'll begin, Riick. Here, a lot of people initially, they kind of vary because it's the language. We talk a lot of English, yet because of the deep spiritual roots that are present there in India and the wonderful heritage that we have, very soon each one begins to understand that we are talking about that one same thing, love. Mm-hmm. Because every scripture is speaking about love. Love, for some it's love is Krishna, and then who is Krishna? For some, love is something else. But the whole beautiful part of it is that they all begin to understand that what Heal Your Life is saying is actually putting everything in a very simplified manner to them. Mm-hmm. So our work is so simple. It's really, really simple that it's so hard to believe. And in its simplicity, love unfolds. And every scripture, India has diverse religions. We have so many. And I belong, my mother was somehow a very, followed the, traditions. I studied with the Irish nuns and the patrician brothers. So I, had both the worlds. And that is why today when I sit back here, my father read Arabic and he said his prayers in Urdu. Mm-hmm. So it's been beautiful. For me, it all is the same because I have been exposed to all these different cultures. And with the awareness and with the understanding and the knowledge that I have gathered over the years, everybody, when I say I have gathered, because when I know that this is the same, I am filled with that love and the essence of it. When I speak to people about it, I speak in the language that they understand, as well as the language that I'm speaking in right now. Mm-hmm. They really get that this is the need of the hour in its simple form, especially because we go through experiential work. It's not just, at the level of knowledge. the exercises, the experience, the music, the way the entire work has been put together inside of Louise's signature 2-day workshop is beautiful. From the moment we begin till the completion of the second day, the way we build up, people get present to the beliefs. And those are the very beliefs a lot of our scriptures are talking about. Okay, we get present to the beliefs, the barriers that those beliefs, that keep us from actually realizing our full potential. And that's what is there everywhere. So, Riick, this question that you've asked, our work is very, very well received in India, especially the younger generation, because it's very simple. And each one is seeking outside. And what is most amazing is when they turn around and they realize that all answers lie within us. So even that awareness is really beautiful, that all answers lie within me. It's all about the whispers of my heart. And I have the wisdom and the knowledge that could get me to sail through life.
That's very comforting to know that all answers are within.
Yes.
It's comforting to the point that we know that we have the answers and we can pull them from within. We don't have to seek for them outside because there's a whole lot of answers outside and not all of them are going to make any sense to us. But the one thing that makes sense is what we know, intuitively, inherently know. And when we begin to do this work, it takes the shell off of that knowingness and lets it out. Now, Donny, I see that you were agreeing with your mother, which was a good idea, I think. Yeah. And so do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, right. I think Mom touched most of it, and so did you. But yeah, I just wanted to put it out on the open. Was Mom's not said it, and like you rightly said, India has such diversity of culture, and this program, although it's a Western-based program, it is so much in sync with the philosophies and with the teachings of what most of our scriptures and our religious things. Now, I also practice certain other modalities of healing and done a bit of pranic healing. Mom's done lots more. She's not talked about it. She's been a Vipassana meditator and a number of other things she's been for a while. And going through that, so we've been very closely in touch with the Indian culture. And coming from the Sikh background, I used to always, sit down. I didn't understand the scriptures, and that's where this work came in, because there is everything in the scriptures. There is a lot of knowing, but how to apply that knowing into your practical life, how to bring it out there and use it as a tool in your day-to-day life is what this workshop gave. And in our work culture, in my corporate line, or even the ship, used to say, you tell me and I might listen to you. You show me something and I might remember a little more. But if you make me do it and make me experience it, I shall never forget it. Yes. And that's what happens in these workshops. The concepts of forgiveness, the concept of actually what love is, the concepts of being in the now, the point of power is in the now. And all these small little things that you do in your daily basis, but you can't be an observer. You don't know how to be an observer because you're always reacting and not responding. You learn this here in this work. So I just wanted to bring that out. And I learned that here. How to watch yourself. You will tend to react. You will tend to get the emotional upheavals. But to know what that emotion is creating and that emotion, what sensation it is bringing into your body. And like Mom said, Heal Your Body book. And I keep it as a reference book mostly over here with me. And recently I've been struggling with this issues going around over here. And I'm wondering to myself, why is my elbow paining so much? Why am suddenly getting, knee pain? I'm not that old. I'm 50. But I'm young and 50. But yeah, and I'm saying, no, this is not time for my aches and pains. What's causing it? And learning the fact that your body is speaking to you, because I'm going through an emotional scenario. My brother is coming for a 50th birthday. I want to be in Singapore, but flights are totally a mess here. We don't know how I'm going to reach there. Schools are closing, opening, closing, opening. There is so much of uncertainty, and there is no movement. And and Louise says that knees and your elbows are movements. Life is not flowing for you. So and you learn this. And instead of going and popping pills, I'll have a paracetamol to get the pain. I sit and look at myself, I smile at myself, and I say to myself, you know what, Donny, there is something better happening here. Something greater is unfolding for the entire world. You are part of it. All shall be well. And like you said, simple words, what Louise said, all is well in my world. All shall be well. And I'm always safe. And the pain fades away. So just wanted to say that. Thank you.
And I also love what Louise always says. For me, that's, like a mantra. It is safe to look within. It is safe to look within, because it's very frightening inside of all the practices that I've done, of what one sees initially when one takes the deep dive. But that's where the treasure lies.
Yeah. Donny, I was going to say, I want to get you a soapbox and send you to Washington, D.C. and have you start talking like that. Maybe somebody will hear. They need to hear that over there. Wonderful. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Babbuji, how do you move into the world with this, into your community? I mean, it's one thing we talk about the workshops and how that works. By the way, to digress again, not to coyotes, but to the coyote in my heart. The most memorable aha moment that I received in a training we do was in a large circle. We had 40 students taking the Heal Your Life training there. And I had been talking earlier about grace, the idea of grace. What is that? And I explained what it was in a linear sort of way, which is not all we can do. When we're doing this, explain it in a linear way. And I'll get to another piece of that in a second. And one woman took that in, whatever day I said it. And then at the closing circle, she just started bawling, and she said, "Thank you. You taught me what grace is." Because I explained that in a certain exercise we do, and they play a song called "You Are the Face of God, You Are the Face of Love. I hold you in my heart," and so forth. And doing that, and the tears are rolling down. I said, if you want an example of grace, you want to know specifically in a explainable way, as much as you can explain that, what grace is, that's it. Go back to what you felt in that moment, and you're looking into somebody's eyes and saying to that person, "You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart." And they're saying that back to you. And it never fails. The whole room is soaking in that grace. And she said, that was the biggest breakthrough for me. You explained what grace is for me. And simply, it's love. It's real love without all the obstacles in the way. It's unconditional love, which is what we teach and what Louise taught. And when you feel it at that level, not just think it at this level, but feel it at that level, then you know that you are in a state of grace. Not something you can talk about, something you feel and you simply know. I spent, I don't want to take too much of our time here because it's about you guys and not me, but you know me, I'm a teacher, and so that's where I go. I spent a few glorious moments with Louise Hay herself back in her physical life. I went to her home in Solana Beach to discuss a business matter with her. And she received me there, and it was wonderful. And there was nobody there. There were no authors around, none of this other people. And there was only two people there, and they were like the domestic assistants. I think one was a housekeeper and cook, and others a driver and groundskeeper. And there's a husband-wife team that works with Louise and helped her with her domestic chores and what have you. And So they pretty much stay out of the way. And so I'm sitting there talking with Louise about this thing. And I discovered something that's very important. When you're talking to a guru, when you're talking to a truly spiritually enlightened person, or nearly spiritually enlightened, we're all born spiritually enlightened, we just haven't accepted it. Like I was with Louise, I realized that there was two conversations going on here. One conversation was on the verbal, cranial level about this business issue, and the other conversation was at the heart level. And it's a string that goes back and forth. You know, in radio broadcasting, there's AM radio and there's FM radio. With AM radio, it's amplitude modulation. So the noise modulates greater or lesser, and that's what gives it the energy to push it out. But in FM, frequency modulation, there are actually two frequencies that are coming into your receiver, your radio. Your radio, when you tune it in, it's tuned to two different frequencies, not just one. And so that's how they get stereo out of FM radio, because these two channels can work simultaneously and yet separately. So that Louise was sending me, blessed moment, information on the other channel of that, on the other frequency that was coming from her infinite well of love. She was giving me blessed nourishment from that well of love she had without saying a word. Not one word. I prompted it accidentally by asking her, where did she get this stuff from the book, You Can Live Your Life? I said, that's amazing information and amazingly presented. Where did that come from? I says to her. And what she said was, I just listened and did what people were asking me to do. That's all I did. But that didn't answer the question, where did it come from? I understand now how it happened, where did it come from. So this secondary frequency that was running between our hearts was feeding me sacred waters on holy ground in that moment. And I could feel it happening. I didn't really understand it at the time, but over contemplating on it and meditating on it, I realized the absolute gift I had to spend 2 or maybe 2.5 hours at the feet of a true guru. I wasn't sitting on the floor at her feet. She probably would have jerked me back into a chair because she didn't see herself as the guru. But I was sitting there and absorbing this. And that was a huge transformation for me. That double frequency, one from the heart, one from the head. And, cranial information is important, but heartful information, spiritual information is equally as important and more so. And Babbuji, you mentioned Sikh men attending your workshops and bawling. And I know that, you were raised kind of Catholic, I think, but at the moment you're practicing the Sikh religion. And about that, I want to say that I went to Ludhiana, to your home, another blessed event in my life. And you and your husband and some Heal Your Life teachers, Donny, you were there, took me to Amritsar, to the Golden Temple, which is probably not a place that I would go on my own. I'm not drawn to a lot of those kind of things, but what a wonderful experience that is, of peace and love and harmony in that beautiful temple. And I will always be grateful to you for that opportunity. So this work and these ideas of Louise's can run in complete juxtaposition to any religious faith, any religious beliefs. As Donny mentioned, it's the how to, not the act of, what can you do? Well, you pray, or you do the beads, 1,000 beads, or you do the rosary, or you do whatever these things are, light candles, incense, and then drop on your knees and pray. This doesn't mean much until it actually sinks in and becomes real, and it becomes a part of you. And then all of the dogma of the many, many different religious faiths around the world, they're fine. That holds the whole thing together, kind of glue. But when you get kind of beyond that and realize what Donny just talked about, it becomes real. Prayer. I got it. What's a prayer? Well, then and Donny explained that. It's like my theory about the definition of wisdom. You know, knowledge, experience, distillation, wisdom. And what Donny expressed in a few moments ago was how that works, how that whole process works, and then becomes distilled and becomes something that simply is there. And you don't need necessarily beads and incense and candles and all of that stuff. You just need to know that it's right here within me, and nobody can take that away from you. That's why you can say that I'm always safe, like Louise says. So what's up for the future for you guys? What are you plans? See, I threw you a curve there, didn't I? I don't know. I'm just going to let it flow and see what shows up. It's what Louise did.
All right, I'll go this time. Yes, because I know Mom's very clear with what her purpose is. And I am, like many of us, in a phase where the purpose is known and calls, and responsibility tends to, get the better of you. And then you say, how do you combine the two? And what's my purpose? And I have been in this phase that what I want is basically what I've come home with is where I am right now in my work. I got to bring this purpose in it with me right here, right now. And staying in Kuwait, I've been trying to, I think people learn the most from who you are being. And I've been in the process of learning this work and being this work as much as I can. And every step is a stumbling challenge to learn, and every moment is a learning, because you are not just on your own, you're interacting with a number of people around you, whether it is work, whether it is family, and not everybody will be on the same page and the wavelength and seeing what you are seeing. So my purpose in the short term, Riick, is with this work, and I've been doing on and off, sessions and 1 hour sessions and 2 hour workshops to get people to know who Louise was and what she stood for, and how simple her work is and how it can be brought into. And doing things like simple things like having 2 hour workshops with people, conversations with people, doing one-on-one coaching is what I'm loving, actually, because one thing I wanted to say was every individual somewhere needs to learn how to release the emotional attachment to their beliefs. We all are a bundle of beliefs and knowings we get so attached to, and so unless you learn to release these emotional attachments to the beliefs from the past, so that you don't get hurt in the now, because majority of the hurt, and I think somebody wrote in this chat box earlier, is how do I forgive? And I generally say, what, if you're in the now, then the hurt which is coming from the past is not there. So if you can learn to be, in the now, or bring yourself back into the now the moment you get present to the emotional hurt, that's what I would like to bring to people and try and teach people using Louise's work, because this work teaches that so beautifully.
So essentially, you're talking about going one-on-one to bring it personally from you to individuals, which is where Louise started. Then it got to be so many people wanting her to do coaching, or what she called spiritual counseling or something, that she couldn't do it. So she went and started doing the larger kind of seminars. And Babbuji, we know where you're going to go. We don't need to. That's why we stumped you, because you're going, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here. What am I going to do? Well, I just want to say one last thing here, and that is the well never runs dry. That well of love never runs dry. It only asks that we dip into it with our 10 cups and take that well of love, or that waters, sacred waters from that well, and share it with everybody who will possibly be willing to drink from it. Then we know that we have done our part in the world and we have actually completed our purpose. Thank both of you so much for this delightful experience and all that you shared with us. I love you both dearly. And again, namaste and blessed be.
Thank you, Riick.
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love you.
Always a pleasure to see you. Love you, everybody.
Thank
Keep
you.
smiling. Stay
And you,
happy.
little Donny, you be safe over there in Kuwait. Take care of the family, okay?
Yes.
Will do, bud.
Now you can become an internationally certified workshop leader and life coach in Louise Hay's philosophy. This training was personally created and approved by Louise and is authorized by Hay House. It will change your life and enable you to help others transform theirs. You will join a worldwide community of thousands of workshop leaders and life coaches, all dedicated to offering Louise's work to change hearts and minds. Go to healyourlifetraining.com for all the information.